Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Sylvia Kuchena, I'm a psychotherapist. So today we will be talking about people pleasing and how to set boundaries. Why setting boundaries is so important, especially when you're struggling with people pleasing. So first of all, when we think about people pleasing, what we need to understand is that people pleasing is very much connected with your childhood experiences, childhood trauma, relational trauma. Also, people pleasing is also connected with inner child, because what goes hand by hand with people pleasing is that we hold a deep wound of rejection. We are afraid of being ourselves. We are afraid of showing ourselves. We are afraid of being our authentic self. And I will cover that in much more detail today. So this is why inner child and people pleasing is connected. People pleasing is just a behavior that you have learned to cope with everything that you have experienced. People pleasing is just the effect, the learned behavior that helped you survive when you were very young. Let's ask yourself, why do you feel the need of pleasing others? You do it because there is a deep need to be seen, to be liked, to be accepted. When we have such a need, it means that there was time when you know where you didn't feel visible, seen, important, where you experienced rejection based on who you were or what you felt. So this is the time when you really need to ask yourself how your parents reacted when you were trying to do things by yourself, or how did anyone reacted when you try to express your opinions, when you try to make a decision by yourself. Was that met with approval, encouragement, or maybe it was rejected? Maybe you felt like your mother stopped talking to you. Maybe you felt like your dad was giving out to you. What was happening when you were trying to be yourself and when you try to live your life as a little child with curiosity, authenticity, and with trying to express and find out who you really are? Because if and when you did that, and there was rejection, there was judgment, there was criticism, there was this feeling of guilt of you doing something wrong because now you have upset your parents, you have upset your mother, of course you're going to suppress your own needs. Why? Because as children, all what we need is to be loved. Loved by our parents, accepted by our parents. So look at what kind of conflict at a very young age you already have experienced. In one hand, you wanted to be yourself, you wanted to express yourself, you wanted to share your opinions. But on the other hand, there was rejection, there was judgment. You felt like you upset your mother. People were thinking that you're making a big fuss. So you have two options. Go with what you want, feeling what you want, being truthful to your authentic self, or get the love that is conditional at this point and try to get the minimum by being the good girl, being the good boy, and not making a fuss. What do you think any child will choose in that situation? Of course, we will choose the sense of belonging, the conditional love. At this point, we're very much learning that it's either we're pleasing others and we do as being told, and to make everyone happy by acting as a good girls, good children, This is the point when we learn what conditional love is. There is no room for you to be yourself. Because when you're yourself, when you express your opinions, when you're saying what you want, when you're talking about your needs, you're hurting other people. That is the message you're getting from a very young age. On the other hand, another example of that, of people pleasing, could be the peer pressure. We have all been in secondary school. We know how the pressure is really impacting us. We try to fit in at all costs. That's another way when we are really rejecting ourselves, when we really are putting other people on a pedestal and we keep ourselves very small, very invisible. This is where we are forgetting once again about our own needs. So coming back to your adulthood, coming back to the need, you heard me, the need of people pleasing. Because long time ago, you already have abandoned yourself. You have rejected yourself. And if now you wouldn't try to please others, you would be left with nothing. So because you can't give yourself the self-love, the self-acceptance, self-kindness, you probably are the worst critic now of yourself. You're very hard on yourself, very judgmental, thinking that this is normal. So at very young age, you learned being yourself is not safe. In your adulthood, you feel like you don't have an option. You feel like you have to people please. You have everyone on pedestal. Everyone is more important. Everyone else needs, plans, you would put on a pedestal. You would disregard your own plans just to please others. And then you expect in yourself to feel happy. And then you expect yourself to enjoy your life. How can anyone enjoy themselves or feel important when you're constantly judging and criticizing yourself? And on top of that, you're constantly trying to people please. It's like your life doesn't belong to you anymore. That behavior leads to the feeling of, what is life? I'm here just to serve others, and my needs are not important. Maybe you have some dreams, maybe you'd love to do something, but you feel like you can't. And with that, people pleasing, of course, there is no boundaries. We would allow people to tell us anything. We would allow people to cross our boundaries. We would allow people to disrespect us. Why? Because you have disrespected yourself in the first place. So if you're disrespecting your own self, if you're disrespecting and you don't pay attention to your needs, to what you want, that sets foundation for how other people will treat you. But when you do that, you can't expect yourself to be happy. You can't expect yourself to be in good mood all the time. It's not going to work. Not if you're not staying truthful to your own self, not because you're not staying truthful to your own values. And don't get me wrong, you might have core values, family, friends, relationships, absolutely. It's amazing. In fact, one of my core values is actually family. But does that mean I would abandon my own needs? No. It means I just have to pay attention to how to keep balance between what I want and what my family wants. It's not hard when you know your values, and it's not hard when you also respect your own boundaries, when you also respect your own self. When you have both, you will make time for everything, and it feels effortlessly because it comes natural to you. But before you can get to that point, you really need to reevaluate what are you thinking about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? When you feel the need of people pleasing, there is a huge wound that you're going to be rejected, that people will abandon you, that you will be on your own, that you will be left. But you already are left by yourself. You're already abandoned by yourself. You're already rejected by yourself every single day. So in a sense, what you really are afraid, you're actually living that reality every single day. Not by them, but by you. Another important thing about people pleasing is that we do it in order to get something back from it. And this is your unconscious behavior. This is the shadow, let's say, from the people pleasing. When we keep abandoning ourselves, when we keep people pleasing, there is this subconscious need for them to praise us, for them to see us. Because we don't get it from ourselves, we will try to get this from somewhere else. So when we people please, we hope that they will praise us. This is how we are being stuck in the hamster wheel. We are abandoning ourselves, we put people on pedestal, we've been doing everything to please them, to keep them happy, and we will do it and do it. So sometimes someone finally can praise us and tell us how good of a person we are. So you can then feel good about ourselves for a few minutes, maybe one day. But the thing is about validations like that, external validations never last. Never last. Last for a few minutes, few hours, a day maybe. It's never long-term validation. So this is why I call it as a hamster wheel, because we have to keep going and on and on and on, because this never lasts. We feel so empty inside, we need people to see us. So we will need them to validate us. We will need them to tell us how good we are, because we can't tell that to ourselves. And very often, when I work with people and we do work around the people pleasing, when I talk about this concept of people pleasing and trying to get this from yourself, immediate thought, what I'm hearing is, I could validate myself, but it's not as important as they would do it for me. Yeah, I can tell myself that I'm a good boy, I'm a good guy, I did something well, but it's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I did something well. Yeah, okay. We completely underestimate our own values. We completely underestimate our own saying. We feel like we constantly need people to tell us how good we are, because if we would tell this to ourselves, it wouldn't be as important. So this is just another example, another evidence that you do have people on pedestal. You hold people above you. Because if you didn't, it would mean that what you would tell yourself, it would be as important as them. On the other hand as well, it's because you have rejected yourself. So that's another evidence that you have rejected yourself. You don't believe that what you would say is important. Therefore, you actually need them to tell you that. So now you can see how people pleasing is like being in a hamster wheel. You know you have rejected yourself. And people pleasing is nothing more than self-concept. It's how you think about yourself. It's what story are you telling yourself about yourself every single day. To what truth are you living to? I guarantee if you would start changing and working on your self-concept, if you start changing the beliefs about yourself, the need for you to people please would be less and less. And this is not the case, fake it until you make it. I know people usually say those things. It's not about that. It's about really sitting with yourself and really being honest with yourself and ask yourself, why do I need them to validate me? Why do I think of myself so little? Is that really true? It's based on what I have experienced. It's based on my experience from my childhood. It's based on how parents are treating me. But I'm an adult now. I can look after myself. I can look after my needs. So is this really true? All those beliefs I have been holding for such a long time, are they true? So this is more or less like a challenge for you. You're going to challenge your own thoughts. Lastly, what I would like to mention in here is that with people pleasing, we are constantly living in a sense of guilt every time we would try to do something for ourselves. There's shame, there is guilt, there is, oh my God, I can't do this. Who am I to look after myself? This is a form of manipulation that you have experienced so they could get what they wanted from you. Every time you feel guilt, every time you feel shame, ask yourself, is this mine? Or is this being put on me? Does people want me to feel guilty? So then, yes, I can be cornered and then I will do what they want me to do. They might throw a judgment. They might throw a comment that is very hurtful. But then it's up to you to accept it or not. So this is how you learn to keep looking after yourself. This is how you learn to start to feel important. People pleasing is learned behavior. It's not who you are. It's a result of something that happened to you. It's people pleasing in a way, it's a coping mechanism to your survival mode. So every time you're people pleasing, know that you're actually in survival. Come out of that survival mode and start to live. And start to live fully. But to do that, you have to keep checking in. What do you want? What is important to you? Will I like it? And this is not about becoming selfish, because when you do this, when you're so kind to yourself, you have no need to hurt others. In fact, you actually will give them more love, more acceptance, more kindness, because your heart will be fulfilled with love. Love to yourself, love to life. And the more you will have that, the more you're going to give that back. It's only when we are afraid, of being ourselves, when we are in survival mode, we are then seeing and looking at people that they are dangerous, that there is nothing we can give, and we only try to take from them because we know that they keep taking from us as well, and then they keep hurting us with their judgments, with their power of rejecting us. So coming back to your strength, coming back to your own empowerment, it's not about becoming selfish. It's about becoming fulfilled with love. you're not going to feed your ego, you're going to feed your heart. There's a huge difference between those two concepts. Looking after your inner child as the way she needed to be looked after back then. Looking after yourself, the adult self. Giving yourself that power to control yourself. But in that, what I mean by this is controlling your own thoughts, controlling your own reactions. But for you to have that, you need to have some kind of self-awareness. You need to be able to reflect on what you feel and what you want. Everything is interconnected. One thought, one behavior is not coming out of blue. One behavior that you have learned, you learned it because it helped you survive. So what I wish for you, to start being much more kinder to yourself, not to be afraid of being yourself. Take small steps, step by step, slowly into the right direction where you can feel love and acceptance from yourself. Fulfill your heart with love and you will see more love coming to you. Because where you're going to look at, it's going to be look through the lenses of love. And it's amazing. Thank you very much everyone for listening. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any valuable content. Thank you, and I see you around. Bye.